people who was escaping Lukashenko's regime. Now there are people who are using as a weapon of this regime. One small accident really can start the war. Or it's his game, and it's the last game of dictator.
Hi, Marius. Welcome to Debates Digital.
Hello, Henrik. Hello.
Last time we talked to each other was when you and I and Sergei Lebedev talked about Corona and the pandemic. And then you were sitting in a little place outside Vilnius writing your novel. We thought then that the pandemic might be gone by now. It isn't. However, we will not talk about Corona and the pandemic. We will talk about another crisis today. These days, all eyes are directed on Poland, on the border between Poland and Belarus, where Lukashenko is weaponizing the migrant movement in order to put pressure on the EU. However, the situation is just as critical in Lithuania. Could you tell us what the situation is in Lithuania right now?
Also some groups of immigrants, of refugees, I don't know how to call them, Lukashenko also pushing towards Lithuania. And I don't know the numbers, but of course everything started from Lithuania. Like the first groups in summer, they were directed to Lithuania, and 4,000 people they are here now in Lithuania as refugees, and only later Lukashenko directed them to Poland, I think in the beginning of autumn or end of summer. So yeah, I think he attacked both those countries because it's kind of his revenge, because both those countries supported very much the revolution in Belarus, and all the leaders and many Belarusian refugees are here in Lithuania and in Poland. So yeah, I think we are both in his, like, I don't know how to say that target.
Mm-hmm. You're being targeted like that, but you're also responding. And just recently, the Lithuanian parliament took a decision about state of emergency and erecting kind of emergency zone next to the border, which is 5 kilometers broad, where journalists are not allowed to go in, and nor are humanitarian organizations or so. Is Lithuanian society, does it feel the pressure? Is there a big debate on this in the public sphere in Lithuania?
Yeah, of course there are, and there are like different opinions. Like somebody is saying that yes, everything is right. We are doing right things, that we are not letting those people, like, letting go. And of course, there is another side that we can't do that. You know, if we see the weak women, the children, or we must let them in. And so it's big debates. And I just now before our meeting, I decided to listen. Yesterday on the national TV was debates about that. So in fact, it doesn't change anything, much, because Poland and Latvia had it already long ago, and it didn't change. And the motivation, for example, why not to let journalists? Also, I heard one thought, which maybe has sense, that they're afraid of pro-Kreml, pro-Belarusian journalists like Russia Today or something like that, who would come, who would make the reportages and would make fake news about what is happening. So there are many truths, and it's really for me in this situation, I don't have like one answer how to behave.
But is that complexity visible in the debate, or is it working? Is Lukashenko's, or if you want to take it further and say Russia, is the strategy from there working as a dividing society?
I think it's working. And not only Lithuanian society, but also European society. And yeah, I think Lukashenko needs the first thing needs that again the world, the Europe would try to talk to him as a leader of the Belarus, because now he's nobody even called him president, and he has no I mean with his nation is in huge conflict, so. I mean, he's trying to keep his power, that he could torture those people. I mean, his people, his nation, terrorize them. So he's using this weapon, those poor people from Iraq, Syria, and other countries.
But would that be a defeat of Lithuania, of the European Union, to start diplomatic negotiations, or whatever you would like to call it, with Lukashenko, because you would then legitimize him as the partner with whom to talk? Would that be a defeat?
No, I think it would be his victory if we would start that. And I mean, here in Lithuania or in Baltic states or Poland, everybody or most of people would say no, never. And if European Union would start it, so that's what he really wants, while he's using this weapon. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we can't do it for any reason.
So there's a stalemate, one has to say then, that, and in Lithuania actually there's a wall being built as we speak, 3 meters high, I think, with an additional meter of barbed wire or so. Recently, Lukashenko addressed the European Union in rather threatening terms. He said, I think it was to a Russian journalist, that speaking about the EU, that those bastards have enacted sanctions on me, and now they expect me to help them with these migrants. What they're doing is suicide, and everything they do also affects our neighbor, Russia, one of the world's greatest nuclear powers. That's roughly what he says. And the foul language was his, not mine. Which means that he's actually talking about the possibility of this conflict also being militarized. Is this a threat that one feels in Lithuania, the prospects of military conflict?
I mean, when all the time so many people, because now you must also understand that the migrants are in the middle, but on one side there are like many people with the guns, and from other side also. So I mean, one small accident really can start the war or military conflict. So yeah, we are in a very dangerous situation. But in the same time, I think I mean, Lukashenko, he's imitating, that he's almost crazy and he can start whenever but in the same time, he's playing all the time, and if only he will feel, the possibility of real this military conflict, he will step back. It's my opinion. So we don't really need to make him. We must step back to hearing his words, because we hear those words already from almost a year when revolution started, and when our diplomats were sent back to Lithuania, because they was trying to support opposition, support they were being in the flat of Svetlana Alexeyevich, when some strange people were trying to surround her house and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's his game. I mean, It's the last game of dictator.
The last game of the dictator. As you pointed out before, Lithuania has been at the center of this Belarusian conflict from the very start, with the migration, the weaponization of migrants, but also even before that, when a big part of the resistance to Lukashenko, the opposition, actually went into exile, many of them in Vilnius. Is this special role that Lithuania has, does it use that in any way internally, or even more interestingly, on the level of European politics? How does Lithuania act on the European scene?
In my opinion, we act as we needed to act in that situation, because Lithuania and Belarus had very close relationships in the historical periods. In fact, I can say we were one political nation for the centuries. Later divided, and even even some our historical memory was cut out from our heads, and now we look at each other like two different worlds, but still, like, we are in the moments when Belarus suddenly wake up, as it happened a year ago, we feel this very big, common feeling in them, and I think this support. Belarusians are saying now that really the biggest support they felt from Lithuania during the revolution, and mostly because Vilnius is really very close from Minsk. It's just 180 kilometers. So many of them people who were persecuted, many leaders of opposition, their first direction was Vilnius. The nearest European Union capital, which is really friendly to them, but also I'm meeting so many people here, Belarusians, and when I'm asking them how they get there, so very often the answer is we just went to the border, then through the forest. In fact, we have this movement through Belarusian-Lithuanian border is already started long ago. Then but just it was another people. It was people who was escaping Lukashenko's regime. Now there are people who are using as a weapon of this regime.
Which is a very it's a big contrast between these two movements, of course, which we can follow on the TV screens more or less every day. Thank you very much, Marius Ivaškevičius, for talking to us today. I wish you all the best also with that novel we talked about a while ago. Thank you.
Thank you.